QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. Hello and welcome to the 15th episode of QuaranJazz. I'm Geisa Fernandes from Rio de Janeiro, and I host this weekly update on what jazz musicians from all over the world are doing during social distancing time. QuaranJazz has covered musicians under total lockdown, and now we are also having some testimonials from those who are based in cities where the return to normal, or better saying, the return to the new normal, is starting to happen. What's your situation? Drop me a line and tell me if you'd like to share your stories here in this show. You can use the contact form on my website, geisafernandes.com. You can also sign up for my mailing list or visit the Facebook group, The Touring Jazz Musician, where I talk about jazz festivals that accept submissions directly from independent artists. You will find all those links in the description of this episode. This week's guest comes from the UK, singer and songwriter Andrea Black, a jazz lady with lots of very interesting stories to tell, including being the first jazz signing in a heavy metal/rock label. How cool is that? Hi, Andrea. Thank you very much for being part of QuaranJazz. I really appreciate your participation. So I always start asking my guests to tell the listeners about their influences and also to describe the kind of music they do, to tell us about their story. So what's your story?
A big thank you to Geisa Fernandes for inviting me onto her show. I'm Andrea Black and I'm a singer-songwriter and live in London. I've been writing since actually I was 11 when we had a lady living with us from South America who taught me South American songs, and from there I developed to study flamenco and started writing, and I had my first record deal with GWR Records. I was their first jazz signing. Even though they were a heavy metal rock label, they had Motorhead, so it was bizarre that I should be their first jazz signing. And Benny Gallagher produced my first album. That's Benny Gallagher of Gallagher and Lyle. And the album came out in Japan on JVC Victor Records and all around Europe. And it's just been re-released, as the next two albums have as well. So the back catalogue is available. The next album was called Jumping from the Wall. And then I made When Hot Dogs Fly with Slipper. I suppose the running theme through all my songs is that there is no real genre, that I sort of leap and cross all the different areas of jazz, blues, folk, rock, pop. The songs really just take me on a journey, and I sort of listen to where they need to go. And each album that I've actually made has been quite distinct. But I think that Harvest Gold, this new one, will make more of an impact. It was recorded over quite a long period of time, and the songs were finely picked, really, by Paul Hirsch, my producer. Paul I've known for a long time. We were actually have been friends for many years, and he first was in it was my second band when I flew out to Frankfurt to promote my second album, so he was in my band then, and I think he's done a really good job. And it started in a very simple way, with me just going into a studio, playing guitar and piano and vocals, and then he did all the overdubs. And it was mastered in LA by Daniel Lazarus, who did Donald Fagen's Night Fly. So I've been involved in lots of different musical projects. I worked with Robert Logan. He's an electronic artist. He did the Grace Jones album, Amor Chiba, and I think he mixed and worked on some of the productions for Lana Del Rey. So I'm very good at being given a challenge and working with other people.
Oh, that's a very good, useful quality. I like that. And what you've been up to during social distancing time? Are you releasing new material or working on new projects? What are you doing?
I live with my daughter in Brentford, which is West London, and we have a chihuahua called Honey. Of course, she's adorable. And my daughter's she's an artist, and she's been playing a lot of guitar recently. So we've been hanging out in different rooms and both trying to record and be creative. And I think it's been fine, actually. It's been fine. And of course, as long as everybody's well, that's wonderful. And everything from there is possible. Anything can be achieved. Of course, the other project that I was involved with before lockdown was the one that I've been recording in Luxembourg with Mike Bell. This is our second collaboration. The first one was called Perfume Girl. And this one we haven't actually come up with a title yet. I mean, we don't know which is the song we're going to use as the title for the album, but it's finished. And we were going to be mastering in Belgium in March, and that didn't happen. So we're now waiting. I'm waiting so that I can get on Eurostar and meet him in Belgium, where we're going to master together. It's a great album, actually, and that will be released probably next year. But Harvest Gold is really the one that I'm concentrating on because it's so vital. It's really from my soul. This album, it has been written over some time, and I think Paul Hirsch, my producer, thinks that these are the best songs I've ever written. But during lockdown, I think I really have gone into into my deepest place and come up with even I won't say even more powerful, because they're not. Each song is an entity on its own, by itself. They stand up. That sounds a bit big-headed, doesn't it, really? No, I think for every 15 songs that I may write, one really shines and one stands out. And that's the one that says, record me, take me around the world, gig me to all the places that you possibly can. And that was another thing that was going to happen just before lockdown. I have a manager in Ireland, and he was organising a tour for May. We had some dates in April, and they all got cancelled. And even though that was disappointing, I know that will still happen, but later on. And anyway, it's an opportunity for my back catalogue to be noticed and for other radio plays to start to kick in. Maybe this is the way round that it's supposed to be. And it certainly is making the world think, isn't it? We are all taking stock and understanding, or not, what we're doing here on Earth. I've always had a very strong sense of my purpose. So I think even before I could speak, according to my parents, I would go around singing. And it's hardly surprising that the world of creativity was something that attracted me. And I'm also an actress, so I did go to drama school and I did train, and I've done a lot of theatre and film and TV, and so I have the other side. And I think when I'm writing my songs, I do sometimes step into character, so I'm able to do that. Strange Girl is a song that really wrote itself. It just flew out. And it makes sense in a nonsensical way. So it probably is the song that will get through and maybe have the most radio play, even though we chose Tell Me for the video, the first video. I think that the next one will be Strange Girl. I don't know when we're going to be able to record that or film it, but hopefully sometime this summer. Let's hope.
Oh yes, I do believe Europe have great hopes for the summer, which corresponds to our winter here in Brazil. Anyway, I remember that when the COVID crisis was at its peak in Europe, I remember the hashtag Save the Summer. I would dare to say that back then it meant something a little bit different than what we can now expect for the coming months. But anyway, talking about coming months, you have a new album coming out in September. And in the beginning of this episode, I said you had lots of very interesting stories to tell. And you told me there were a bunch of stories related to this album. I would like you to tell us one of those stories, please.
I'd like to tell you a bit about one of the songs on the album that's coming out in September, the album Harvest Gold. It's called Jumping Genie Beanie, but it's autobiographical. It really tells the story of how I was signed to a Californian record label that all went wrong. And actually, we never recorded a thing, as one of the lyrics says in the song. I was mentored by the late John Lee Hooker. I knew John for 15 years and he really took me under his wing. And I went out to San Francisco, took my guitar out at someone's birthday party. To cut a story short, I got offered a record deal. And I went out with my baby daughter, who was 17 months old, to record an album, basically up a mountain, which was crazy. It didn't happen, and I ended up at John Lee's house. I had actually opened for Eric Burden at this big festival. And anyway, I stayed with John Lee Hooker and had to get out of this deal, which I did. And Jeannie was the woman that I signed to. John used to call her Jumping Genie Beanie because she did jump about. She wasn't a kangaroo, but she did jump. And there were lots of things about her that I could talk about. And I live in fear that she will hear this song and won't be very happy. But it really is truthful. So it was a crazy time. And I then came back to the UK with my daughter, having got out of the deal. And I was just going to go back out again, got offered another deal to make an album with John Lee Hooker when sadly he passed away. So that album never got made. And Harvest Gold has that song included. So it's very powerful. And maybe you'll get to hear that as well. We shall see at some future time. I know that we all have mentors, hopefully, because I think it's important that somebody recognises, apart from your family, if you're lucky enough to have family members that understand the music and that world of creativity, it really is important to have someone that takes you under their wing and believes in you. But of course, the underlying thing is that you have to really believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you are here for a purpose. And I've always had that strong feeling, as I've said. So, from mentors to the scenario that we're in right now, that hopefully we'll all be able to come through, and the world will be a better place. It's funny, isn't it? Because when last Christmas came, it was all so different, and we could never in a million years believe that everything around the world would shut down and that politics would look so ridiculous around the world. So crazy decisions have been made, and I really do think it's up to all the creative people to shine that reflection on the world, so that we can, in my idealistic Garden of Eden way, live in some future utopia. Okay, you might say that I'm living in cuckoo land, but I do like to think that, the world one day will be a wonderful place for everybody. So, may everybody harvest their gold in their own wonderful way.
And what about the track you've selected for us today? What can you say about it?
So I think really the first song, or the song that I'm going to include from my album Harvest Gold, is the one that's going to be played all around the world actually this Saturday. It's called Strange Girl. And you may think, well, what does come first, the lyrics or the music? It's a question that we're always asked, isn't it, really? And there is no formula. So with that note, I hope you enjoy Strange Girl, or have enjoyed Strange Girl. And so I wrote the song, really, it's on guitar, and it has a sort of a Latin feel to it, especially at the end. It's quite succinct. It's maybe one of the shortest tracks on the album. And yes, it's Strange Girl. The album's Harvest Gold. And it wasn't meant to be Harvest Gold in a materialistic way. It's really in a very spiritual, enlightened way. So I hope everybody at this time is really enjoying as much as they can, as much as you can, I should say, really, your time, and making the most of everything. So thank you ever so much, Giza, for having me on the show today. It's been a real joy to be able to put some thoughts together and let you into my world of music. And I know there's a lot more that I haven't talked about, and I've got a website, andreablack.com, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And as I say, I'm not brilliant at promoting my music, but from now on I really have to do a little bit more of that. And of course I shall be rehearsing as soon as I can with my drummer and Paul Hirsch. My drummer's called Mike Connolly, and we, before lockdown, had quite a few gigs at the Bull's Head in Barnes, which is quite a well-known jazz venue. And anyway, I look forward to everything, coming alive again in a very positive way, and hoping that everybody stays safe and well and that all good things happen to everybody from now on. So thanks ever so much, Giza, for having me on the show. Take care. Wishing you lots of good health and happiness. Thank you. Thank you for listening today.
Well, you take care too, girl. And thank you for your participation. Really, thanks a lot. And one more thing, I was wondering, the relationship between music and the drama arts, it's been a frequent issue here, at least among the jazz ladies. It's very interesting how these forms of expression connect somehow. Well, once again, thanks a lot, Andrea. I wish you all the best for the new release in September. Fingers crossed here. And thank you, dear listener, for staying with us. This was QuaranJazz, your weekly update on what's happening in the jazz scenario during social distancing time. Come back to the new normal with us. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer and songwriter from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And if you have interest in learning more about my work or the podcasts that I have, visit my website. The link will be in the description of this episode, geisafernandes.com. You can also sign up for my mailing list, get exclusive content and a direct line to talk to me, or join my Facebook group, The Touring Jazz Musician, where we talk about jazz festivals, especially those with open submission processes. So if you want to learn more about the Jazz Fest scenario, join the discussion. The Touring Jazz Musician on Facebook. QuaranJazz is also a proud participant of the Social Distancing Festival, an amazing action that you should definitely check out. The link will be also in the description of this episode. This is Geisa Fernandes saying goodbye, till next week, and now, ladies and gents, Strange Girl.
Strange girl, strange girl. One truth, one you. Many questions. Life just improves. When all the day is done, I slide to oblivion. Crawl back through time. There I daydream about the new tomorrow. From the flip side, strange girl, one friend now, one got lost. It's all relative. Blood runs fast.
a strange girl like me. I always thought that it would be a simple bus ride to a place I wanna be. Strange girl, strange girl, strange QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. QuaranJazz, a podcast by Geisa Fernandes.